So now we are going to look at a kind of unusual move, since the main lines are knight to c3 or knight to d2, which is kind of natural. Usually in the openings, the knights come out before the bishops. So there is this move bishop d3, which we are going to check. And the justification is that after taking on e4, this bishop is on this so-called long diagonal, kind of staring down on black's queen side, which sometimes can cause issues for development. But at the same time, this bishop on e4 is exposed. So knight f6, it has to withdraw back to f3, and in most openings, the bishop appears on the diagonal by way of fianchetto. That would be by playing g3, and the bishop would have a nice home on g2, where it cannot be harassed by black knight. And we will see that the bishop on f3 not only takes away the natural square for development for the white knight, but is also subject to being attacked. So we do the usual in the structure for black. It's chipping away at white center, so c5 is natural, knight e2, knight c6. So white has to support the pawn on d4. And as usual, against lines that are not, the most correct, there are options for black. But I want to suggest something very straightforward here. It's taking on d4, knight takes d4, knight e5, to really underline that this bishop on f3 is placed in an unnatural way. So if it were to withdraw, then we can just play knight d5 and play bishop e7, and we are very happy. We've already pushed white back. There is no advantage for white to speak of. Actually, I prefer to be black. So that's not an option. So if castles, we don't need to rush, because really the bishop withdrawing is a concession. So we just develop knight c3, castles, and now white has to decide if rook e1, already knight c4 is a good move. Attacking b2 and e3, and having to play bishop c1 is already a very bad sign, and black is starting to take over with e5 here. So queen e2 is a bit more circumspect, not allowing knight c4, and now we just continue developing. Queen c7, rook ad1, bishop d7, rook e1, rook fd8, and basically white has run out of useful moves to make, and black is about to finish up development too, and one day we'll just chop off this bishop and enjoy the bishop pair with a flawless structure. So there's absolutely nothing to worry about. So what's the point of white's setup? He has to play a bit more ambitiously and not castle. White needs to play knight c3. And if we were to play bishop e7 now, how could white mix it up? What would be a more aggressive development plan? What do you think, Matthew?
Aggressive development plan is possibly, well, if you say aggressive, maybe g4.
Not in that sense, aggressive.
Okay. Just saying that, anticipating the kingside castle, so why not launch a pawn storm?
Yes, but the pawn storm will not really do any damage since there is no hook. I mean, if black had a pawn on h6, okay, I would see the argument, but white's king is still in the middle, so white will not be successful if he's not at least finishing his development first, which involves castling.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's the only thing about the knight f6 will be just pushed away with g4, g5, and just misplacing that knight somewhere. And also, the knight has to go back to g8 or just d5, and which is probably going to be traded off a knight and have a isolated pawn for black. So maybe not.
Yeah, but I can tell you that after g4, I'm not gonna be phased. I will just play something like. No, actually, I may take here. And for example, knight d7.
Okay.
Now g5 is hanging.
Oh yeah, so h4, defend that one.
Yeah, knight e5.
Okay, in this case, maybe some like queen e4, attacking the knight.
Yeah, here I thought I would have knight c4.
Okay, so now maybe bishop c1 again, the same logic we talked about before. But maybe queenside castle is also an option instead of bishop.
Yeah, that's a better option, but I will have queen b3 here. Sorry, queen b6. And next I will take on e3.
I see. Makes sense.
So, I mean, doesn't look promising to me for white.
So if they go, for example, queen e3, the endgame is better for black?
Oh yeah, that is for sure.
Okay, because simply better pawn structure.
Yeah, because what I will do, I play a rook d8, and if we exchange here,
Mm-hmm.
I think I can just bring my king to the center. And then I get out bishop d7, and I have two bishops, and any moment I can start opening the position, and there are no weaknesses.
I see. Makes sense.
And actually, I feel like I played a bit too passively. I should not take on
f3.
on f3 because I help white develop. I think I don't mind this, for example.
Okay, that makes sense. So knight d5 from white.
Yeah, but now what do you do?
I'll just preserve the maybe. Well, so they have to defend h5, so h4.
Yes.
Just saying
I
that.
thought I can cause some problems already, since it's not clear how you get the king out now.
Okay, so doesn't know like bishop g2 here. You're getting this queen free for the move.
Yeah, then I will go knight c4.
Okay. So this is the same thing, and also attacking e3 some more. That's not pleasant.
Yeah.
Maybe
Yeah, no.
in that case, maybe bishop e2 instead. Not bishop e2, but bishop e2. Just
I can do the same thing, yeah.
Okay, so maybe this saying that same thing will happen. You're gonna have to do some concessions. Bishop c4, but it's not the best option.
Yeah, basically you haven't achieved anything by pushing the g-pawn.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, it cost you time, and your king is still on e1.
Okay, so this is only a.
So yeah, I
Maybe
think
just
95.
close attack, so I want to make sure we're safe.
But yeah, we explode some ideas. So what I was getting at is that white should play queen e2 here and castle queenside. That's kind of the aggressive way. And here, for example, there are some issues. If I play queen c7, king b1, now there are already kind of threats with bishop f4, knight db5. Like I need to be very careful here. So what I like, or what I think is a very clever move here, is to play a6. This b5 square is usually very important in these structures because the knights can jump there any moment. So we control the square. Now queen e2, and now we take on f3. And after queen takes f3, we have prepared to play e5, since now there is no knight db5. And another important point is that knight f5, which looks very desirable, is no good on account of queen a5. And white has to remove the king from this pin, and then there is e4. And suddenly the knight drops. So that means that here after e5, there's simply no really good move for white. They have to play knight e2, but that's kind of a sign that things didn't go well if you cannot play knight f5. And here I like to go queen c7 so that I can develop the c8 bishop, bishop e6. Now bishop g5 is kind of to try to do something, and here I would just offer the exchange of queens. Because, of course, we are a bit behind in development, but we have the two bishops, and exchanging queens will kind of fix everything, because then our king in the center is no source of concern anymore, and knights play well with the queen, bishops play well with the rooks, so exchanging queens is always kind of a good idea when you have the pair of bishops. And if white were to take, then already the idea is to play knight d5, f6, and everything starts to look very nice for black. So to me, it kind of, this is the important position. If white is castling short, then it's really very simple. There are no problems here. Also note that after bishop f4, we always have to check. Knight takes f3, and knight db5 is not achieving anything yet. We have queen a5. And here we can just ask questions to the knight, which cannot do any damage yet. So really the key moment kind of to remember in this line is that after knight c3, when white keeps this option alive of castling queenside, we are already playing a6. And then queen e2, takes, and e5.
So that was a moment when you talked about there was no problem to be had. When there's bishop f4 and there's knight b5 attack, there's actually the line that I thought there's knight c7.
Uh-huh. Ah, okay. You mean this one?
Yeah, that one, knight c7, attacking the rook. Is
Yes.
there a problem here?
We go rook a7. It looks for a moment really silly, but what about the knight on c7? It has nowhere to go.
Okay, there's nothing that they can put the pressure on, and bishop b3 is not anything because of b6.
Bishop e3, there are many problems with this move. I could even, I think, just take it and then play b6.
The classic Bobby Fischer versus Vasky match. Let's see.
Yeah, but I mean, after b6...
The dice trapped a little bit.
Okay, here there's something to calculate,
C6,
you
yeah.
know, queen c6.
Yeah.
But I don't think this works at all, to be honest. Like, here at the very, very least, I'm taking back on b2.
Okay.
And I'm already doing very well. But it's all, you know, no use. It's just to show that everywhere the question is if is black winning on the spot or not. So I think queen c7 is actually just winning here.
I see. Makes sense.
But yeah, it's good to know this motive that we have a7 for the rook, because of course this would be quite unfortunate. Here there is, for example, knight a6 and the rook is hanging on b8. Anything else?
Yeah, I was wondering about how the endgame is. If they do d takes c5, once we go c5, what does that look like?
Ah, okay. So we go back to the start.
Yeah, they dig on c5 with a d pawn.
Oh, right away?
Yeah, see what the result is of that one.
So how do you take with the bishop?
Possibly with the king. Does just have the pressure on b7 more.
Okay, but now you have a problem on f2.
Yeah, go. You can do bishop b3 maybe. Develop and defend too.
Okay, so I'll take this.
Maybe.
I wouldn't be happy with white's pawn structure here.
Yeah, it's a slight issue, but the goal is to suffocate black in the sense that there's no winning chances. And maybe the e pawn is not in an open file at all, so maybe not concerned. So
yeah, so the problem is that my knight is gonna go to e5 and will just be very well positioned.
so.
It will not, kill you right away, but it's kind of a very dominating piece. And black's development is very simple. I will go king e7. My rook goes to d8. Then if b2 is not defended, I can just go bishop d7, because if you take on b7, rook b8, and I have an attack on b2, I get the pawn back with dividends. And if for some reason b2 is defended, then I can just spend the tempo playing rook b8 and then develop the bishop. And it's kind of a sad position for white, because black structure is perfect, the pieces will be centralized, the knight on e5 is unassailable, so positionally speaking, black is just for choice.
I see. With that being said, maybe with the bishop takes d1, not the king takes d1 back.
Yeah.
Was the situation there?
Okay, so how do you want to proceed here?
So maybe an f3, natural development?
Yes. That's a good one, about natural development, because I like to put the bishop on b7 in the structure. Let's say you castle, right?
Yeah.
Actually, here I could already start to disturb you with something like bishop a6 and knight g4.
Okay, that one.
So it kind of shows that black setup is very harmonious and white has issues.
I see.
Even if I don't do that, just playing, bishop b7, knight d7, castles, rook d8, rook c8, black's development is very, very harmonious. And I have access to the central squares like knight d4 now. And your bishop on d1 is kind of in the way of finishing development. At the same time, you need him to cover f3 so that I don't kill the pawn structure. So already white is actually much worse, even if I don't underline it like that.
Hey, check this video out to make sure that you get more important information to bring your chess to the next level.